Hey, it's Zach. Welcome back to Negotiation English, Win-Win Conversations. We're glad you're here. If you enjoy clear, real-world English, tap subscribe so you never miss a new episode. Today, we're kicking off with a simple game plan for better workplace negotiations.
I'm Emily. Quick confession, early in my career, I agreed to a deadline I couldn't meet because I didn't ask enough questions. That conversation taught me that a calm pause is powerful, and that a win-win means both sides leave with dignity.
So here's how we'll roll today. First, set a clear goal and scope. Second, propose with confidence. Third, ask clarifying questions. Fourth, make smart trade-offs. And finally, handle pushback. We'll finish with a short role play and a clean checklist.
You'll also hear a few key terms. For example, BATNA means your best alternative to a negotiated agreement, the plan you can live with if this deal fails. And a concession is something you give up to move the deal forward.
Speaking of that, last month I negotiated with a hardware supplier about an urgent timeline. I almost said yes. Then I asked, what does urgent mean for you? Hours, days, or weeks? That one question changed everything, because we discovered the scope was fuzzy.
That reminds me of a freelance project where the client pushed for a discount before we discussed value. I anchored the price by starting a little higher, then explained the deliverables and impact. Anchor simply means the first number that frames the conversation.
Quick recap before we dive deeper. Define your goal, know your BATNA, clarify the scope, and anchor around value. If this is helpful, hit subscribe. New episodes drop weekly with stories, phrases, and realistic dialogue you can use the same day.
And tell us in the comments which negotiation word confuses you most: counteroffer, contingency, or non-negotiable. We'll weave your questions into upcoming episodes so the advice fits your world, not just theory.
By the way, a counteroffer is your revised proposal after you hear theirs. Simple. We'll model one in a minute, step by step, with gentle language that protects the relationship.
All right, warm-up done. Let's jump into setting the agenda and success criteria, so both sides feel clear from the start.
All right, let's set the table for any negotiation. Goal, scope, and success criteria. Without these, price and timeline turn into guessing. I like to say, agenda is a map. If we draw it early, nobody gets lost halfway.
In a kickoff last spring, a client asked for a quick refresh. I smiled, nodded, and we started. 2 weeks later, they expected a rebrand and translations. Scope creep. I paused, set a reset meeting, and promised one page only: the agenda. In that meeting, I wrote 3 headers: goal, scope, success criteria. Then I asked, how will we recognize done? Success criteria means agreed signs the work meets the need, like load time under 2 seconds or approved copy.
I like your question. I start with a 2-sentence outcome. By Friday, what should exist and who will use it? Then I confirm acceptance criteria, the checks before sign-off. That simply means tests we pass before we call it done.
I also use a parking lot. Anything interesting but off-topic goes there, so it doesn't hijack the meeting. We mark items out of scope, not included now, and non-negotiables, things we won't change, like legal wording or safety steps.
My light template. Goal, scope, timeline, roles, risks. On a website rebuild, we listed stakeholders, dependencies, and a constraint. Dependency means we need something from someone else, like images from marketing. A constraint is a limit, such as budget or a cutoff date.
To make success concrete, we wrote mobile score 85+, Spanish homepage live, analytics event firing, sign-off by Friday, 5 p.m. A milestone is a checkpoint. 2 kept us honest. Design approved Tuesday, content locked Wednesday. Everyone finally breathed easier.
Recap. Agree on destination, draw borders, decide how to measure arrival. In plain words, goal, scope, success criteria. Ask who decides and what must be true at the end. With a map, later trade-offs get calmer.
Mini role play. I opened, before we jump in, can we align on goal, scope, and what counts as done? The client agreed, and 20 minutes later, we had clarity. Price talk after that was almost boring, in a good way.
Let's talk proposals, anchoring and value framing. An anchor is the first clear number on the table. It sets the reference point. Value framing connects your price to outcomes, saved hours, fewer errors, faster revenue. When I prep, I write the business result first, then the number that supports it.
Last quarter, I pitched a brand refresh to a health app. Their brief said, lean budget. I opened with a premium package as my anchor, then showed what it protected: regulatory checks, user testing, and a launch kit. I told them, this reduces rework and risk. The room relaxed because the number now had a job.
Emily, did they push back on the anchor? And how did you keep it steady without sounding rigid?
I breathed, paused, and offered 3 tiers: essentials, plus, premium. That's value framing with options. The anchor sits at the top, and the others live under it. I used 1 sentence per tier: outcome, scope, price. Quick note: tiered just means arranged in levels. Silence helped. They needed a moment to do the math.
Procurement once tried to lower my quote by 20%. I reframed around uptime and churn. I said, at this scope, we hold 99.9% uptime and cut churn by 2 points. Below that, testing drops and risk climbs. Suddenly, we were comparing outcomes, not just numbers.
Mini recap. Anchor early. Tie every figure to a result, and use options to show trade-offs. ROI, by the way, means return on investment, the benefit compared with the cost. Keep language simple. This protects X and accelerates Y. That makes price feel like a decision, not a battle.
Quick role-play line I used yesterday. Given the launch window, I recommend the Pro plan at $40,000. It includes QA, on-call support, and training, so your team ships on time. If your cap is $32,000, we can remove on-call. Delivery moves by 1 week. Clear anchor, clear impact.
Zach, that was clean. I heard a calm anchor, strong value, and a transparent trade-off. One more nudge I like. Add a decision date to keep momentum. This scope is valid through Friday. It's not pressure. It respects planning.
If your voice shakes on the number, write it down, say it once, and stop talking. Let the silence work. Confidence isn't speed, it's alignment. When value leads and the anchor is clear, the relationship actually feels safer for both sides. Let's dig into asking smart questions, clarifying, probing, and summarizing. When a meeting speeds up, I slow down. I say, before we decide, can we make the picture sharp? Clarity first, decisions second.
Last month, a manager messaged, "Need a demo tomorrow." I felt pressure, but I asked, "What will the demo prove, and who needs to see it?" That clarifying question uncovered the real goal. One stakeholder wanted risk reduced, not a flashy show.
Quick distinction. Clarifying questions clean up facts, dates, owners, scope. Probing questions explore motives and constraints. I asked an ops lead, what happens if we miss Thursday? His answer revealed a supplier window, not stubbornness.
Speaking of that, I like a gentle probe. What's driving the date? Or what would make this safe to launch? When he said legal review, I shifted the plan to sequence tasks so legal could start early.
Then I summarize. So far, I'm hearing two priorities: legal sign-off and a stable demo for investors. Success equals no critical bugs and a 5-minute walkthrough. Paraphrase just means restating their ideas in your own words to confirm meaning.
I add a check. Did I get that right? Or did I miss something? That line invites correction without conflict. Alignment means we share the same understanding. When they nod, the room relaxes, and budget talks get easier.
Another tiny tool, mirroring. Repeat the last key words with a light question tone. Legal review? I used it with a CFO who said, tight cash flow. I mirrored, he added details, and we found a phased payment plan.
I also use calibrated questions, open, practical, how and what questions that guide, not push. How can we meet the date without risking quality? The word calibrated means carefully adjusted, like tuning a guitar.
Labeling helps when emotions rise. It sounds like the timeline feels risky. Labeling means naming the feeling without blame. People correct or confirm, and either way, you learn the truth faster.
Quick recap. Clarify facts, probe for reasons, summarize out loud, and invite correction. Finish with a clear next step and owner. I usually send a one-line email. Agreed. X by Friday, Y by Tuesday. Reply if I missed anything.
Great. With questions and summaries in place, we're ready to trade smart. Make concessions that protect priorities. Up next, we'll bundle options and keep relationships strong. Let's shift into trade-offs, concessions, packages, priorities. When pressure rises, I picture a chessboard. Every move costs something, so plan the exchange. My quiet mantra is, if I give, I get. Not greedy, just balanced. It keeps talks fair and surprisingly friendly.
Speaking of that, a SaaS client once asked me for a 15% discount. I didn't say yes or no. I said, if you move to annual prepay, I can move on price and include onboarding. That was a concession, something you give up deliberately to move the deal. We packaged price, payment terms, and support into one bundle.
I had a similar moment with a logistics vendor. They wanted faster shipping, but also more design revisions. I protected my priority, quality, by trading fewer revision rounds for an expedited slot. Priority just means what matters most right now. We bundled timing with a service level agreement, or SLA, so expectations were written and calm.
Packages help people choose, not argue. I offered 3, Core plus Premium. The price stayed firm, but the mix changed, like adding training or quarterly audits. I tossed in a small sweetener, a tiny bonus that feels kind, not costly. A playbook template. The sticker price didn't move, yet the value felt bigger.
Here's the guardrail I use: contingent concessions. I'll say, I can include weekend support if we extend the contract by 3 months. Contingent means linked, this for that. I also name non-negotiables early, like data security. Boundaries lower drama because nobody waits for a surprise at the end.
I learned the hard way with overtime. A partner asked for a Sunday push. I replied, I care about the deadline and my team's rest. If we split the scope, homepage now, blog next week, I can guarantee stability. Phased delivery means releasing in stages, so risk stays small and people stay human.
Quick recap: name priorities, bundle issues, link every give to a get, and protect non-negotiables. I use a simple triangle in my head: speed, cost, quality. Choose two, and the third flexes. When folks see the triangle, trade-offs feel logical, not personal.
Funny you say triangle. My favorite move is log rolling, trading across different issues. They cared about a public case study. I cared about tighter payment terms. We swapped a small discount for a signed case study and net 15 payments. Case study means permission to share results. It's marketing gold.
In a role play last week, I told the client, if we freeze scope today, I can pull in an extra designer. In return, QA extends by 2 days so we don't cut corners. Later, I added, I'm open to rate relief if we move to annual billing and include a testimonial clause. Calm, specific, and fair.
So, when you feel stuck, ask, what matters most to them? And what matters most to me? Then, build a package that protects both. My tiny checklist: priority, boundary, bundle, contingency, summary. Keep voices warm. Write the agreement clearly, and the relationship usually leaves stronger than it arrived.
Let's talk about pushback. When someone says not possible or too expensive, that's an objection, a concern that blocks agreement. I slow my voice, breathe, and ask, what would need to be true for this to work? Slowing down often resets the room.
I hit that last winter with procurement. They kept repeating, budget freeze. Instead of arguing, I labeled the feeling. It sounds like committing now feels risky. Then I asked, what changed since last quarter? Turned out, a new policy capped monthly spend. A constraint is just a limit you must respect.
When I hear a hard no, I try a gentle map. Is price the only blocker, or are there others we should put on the table? If there are 3 small issues, we can solve them as a package. De-escalate simply means reduce the tension so thinking comes back.
If the same objection returns, I summarize. I'm hearing cost certainty and data security. Then I ask a decision path question. If we lock those two, could we get a green light this week? Green light just means approval. It keeps the talk moving toward action.
Deadlock happens when both sides stop moving. I had one with a hardware vendor, our uptime clause versus their price cap. We paused for a cooling off period, 1 hour. I came back with a joint checklist: safeguard uptime, protect cost, split risk with a capped rebate.
Another tool I love is MISO, multiple equivalent offers. I said, option A, lower price, longer term. Option B, higher price, shorter term, faster rollout. Option C, same price, add training. MISO lets them choose the path while you protect priorities. It feels cooperative, not cornered.
Rapport keeps doors open. During a tense call, I mirrored the last words, timeline risk, and the PM told me about a regulatory audit. I paced their reality. Audit comes first, then led, so we phase delivery. Pace then lead means you align first, guide second. Trust rose instantly.
Quick role play. Client. Our budget's capped. I respond, sounds like cost certainty matters most. Would a fixed fee package with a contingency plan help? Contingency means backup plan. Then I offer 2 routes and ask, which feels safer? Calm choices lower resistance.
Mini recap. Listen without rushing. Label the feeling. Probe for root causes. Summarize shared goals. And present options. ideally miso. If progress stalls, try a short break or a neutral facilitator. Escalate only when needed. Escalate means raise the issue to a higher decision maker.
If you take one idea today, take this. Objections are clues. Treat them like data, not attacks. When you respond with clarity and respect, pushback turns into a path forward. All right, next, we'll wrap with final advice and a simple take-home checklist.
All right, quick wrap-up before we say goodbye. Today we set the agenda, so nobody guesses. We anchored proposals to real outcomes. We asked smart questions to find the truth. We traded fairly with packages and priorities. And we handled pushback with patience and options. If you remember one idea, remember this: clarity first, then decisions.
One last story. Last week, I closed a tricky project with a one-page summary. I wrote goal, scope, success criteria, then listed price, timeline, and who approves what. I ended with 2 sentences. Risks we're watching. Next checkpoint Wednesday. That tiny debrief kept everyone calm. Debrief just means a short review after a decision.
My closing line lately is simple. Are we aligned on the goal, the scope, the criteria for done, the timeline, and the owners? If someone hesitates, that's gold. You catch confusion early. And if a deal breaker pops up, better now than after launch. Deal breaker means a condition that stops the agreement.
When the number feels heavy, I breathe and return to value. I'll say, this protects uptime and saves rework. Then I pause. Silence isn't awkward. It gives people space to think. Funny you say that. Yesterday, the silence lasted 8 seconds, and then the client said, "Okay, let's do the plus plan."
Tiny template for fair trade-offs. If we add X, then Y changes. For example, if we include weekend support, then we extend the term by 3 months. That's a contingent concession, linked give and get. Add a decision date and a check-in. Check-in means a short progress call that keeps momentum alive.
Quick recap checklist you can screenshot. Agenda map. Clear anchor. Probing questions. Packaged options. Miso if needed, and a one-page summary. Keep voices warm. Protect non-negotiables, and write agreements in plain language. Plain beats clever when the deadline is close.
Thanks for spending time with us today. If this helped, tap subscribe and share it with a teammate who has a negotiation this week. Drop a comment with the one phrase you'll try. Maybe, what would need to be true? Or, are we aligned? We read them all.
Take care, and remember, protect the relationship, and the deal usually follows. We'll see you in the next episode.